this lake looked so welcoming to some tourists that they jumped out of their car on the side of the road and they had to swim in there. But then some other people had to stop and tell them that's a sewage lake. A wastewater treatment lake.
Ooh.
So I think they had a good hot shower after that.
Is it true?
Yeah. At Mungary, there's this massive plant at Mungary where I used to live actually, and in the old days in the 80s they'd actually partitioned off about a third of the harbour and made all these big oxidization ponds. But if the wind was blowing the wrong way some days, it was usually okay, but if the wind blew the wrong way some days, it would pong out the half of Mungary. So they actually engineered these massive tanks, which so all the wastewater goes into these massive tanks, which digest the waste with bacteria and stuff, and it's all away from the surface, so it's all very high tech now. Brought the faith to New Zealand. He sailed into the Hokianga harbour on the Raiatea ship, and from Tahiti, and the locals were quite amazed by that, because Raiatea is the homeland which the first Māori to discover New Zealand came from. Right, Raiatea. So they thought it was quite an auspicious visit from this other big cheese, like to come into the harbour. And
Thank you.
And as well as that, there was this prophecy, the ancient prophecy for the local people, that the bringers of the true faith would be non-married people, you see. And so that the Christianity had been brought in by the Methodists and stuff about 20 years before, but they were all married, you see, and had kids, and so they were like, oh, this guy's the real deal kind of thing. He's got and he's just all dressed up in
prophecy.
Yeah, but Māori prophecy. That's right. And also he up to that point there were no bishops that had, from any denomination that had come into the country, but because he was a bishop, he was seen as like a chief, right? So they're like, okay, we've got some high level bringers of the faith kind of thing, and he had all his all his bishops regalia and stuff, and so they were like, oh, okay, this guy's pretty special. And of course he was very charismatic as a person as well. So he had learned Māori on the way over and stuff, so they really appreciated that as well. So he comes in on the Raiatea, and then in the southern Hokianga, the tribes had heard that this popish kind of Catholic guy was coming in, and a lot of them had never met Catholics, but they'd heard all sorts of nightmare stories from their parents about the evil Catholics from the other side of Europe, and you've had 300 years of religious conflicts, and so they were so upset about it that they got their local Māori sub-tribes to say, hey, let's go and toss them back into the sea kind of thing, and get rid of them kind of thing. And so he's actually in a lot of danger, him and his the other priests and the brothers that came with him. So, but luckily, the local Catholic family that hosted him and invited him over, they were very friendly with the northern Hokianga tribes and stuff, who were also very fierce in battle and stuff. So basically, the Pompelia got protection like and stuff, and so when they turned up to kind of get rid of him, he kind of had his bodyguards ready to go, kind of thing. You know? And as well as that, there was another time when another kind of hostile group that had been riled up by the other denomination came along, and they kind of sat down outside the house where he was staying, and they weren't talking or anything like that. And so he came out and he was like, okay, I can't show any fear and stuff. I've just got to keep talking and just say hello and welcome them and give them offer some food and stuff. And they weren't having a bar of it, but and the person he was staying with, who knew the language better, was talking to them and was saying, oh yeah, they're not very happy with having you here, kind of thing. And so he basically came out and just gave his own speech about who he was and why he was here, and that he didn't mean any harm to anybody. He was just spreading the good news, you know, that Jesus had asked them to spread, kind of thing. So after about, and I think the people, the tangata whenua, they really appreciate someone who can speak well, you know, and give a good speech. And because he was speaking, he knew some Māori, and also he was having someone translate for him. He actually, by the end of his speech, that actually been like turned around to be quite friendly to him, and so he put on a meal for them, and they ended up saying, oh look, you know, we'd been told all this bad stuff about you, but you're not, you know, like you're worshipping idols and all this kind of thing, and but you've explained to us, you know, who you are, and we're really quite, you know, feeling different about you. So yeah, so that was another positive event, which meant that they could settle down in that area, and they quickly gained a lot of converts and stuff.
Alright, we're here for coffee, and what like you see, we're waiting for the ferry to clear up so that we could board our vehicle. So we're gonna have some coffee here.
Hokianga landowner trying to drain the wetlands close to Pangaroo to make more pasture land, and of course, but this was their place where they would gather their kai moana, their seafood from flounder and that kind of thing. So every time he was trying to drain it, her and her mates would go and block up the drains to keep water in there. So that was their first taste of civil disobedience in a peaceful way, and working for social justice. And then yeah, later on she led a land march in 1975 and was instrumental in the setting up of the Waitangi Tribunal and stuff. And yeah, so she's done a lot of good. Yes, and she was the daughter of Jeremiah Tawakiwaki, who was chief of the local hapu in this area, and also the catechist who kept the faith alive and hung around in this area during the land wars and kind of thing, when all the European priests had to leave. So he might have even been baptized by Bishop Pompelia himself. So it's a beautiful link right back to Pompelia with her family, especially since her nephew is Pa or Father Henry Tate, whose unveiling we're just about to go to. So who was the foremost Māori theologian who really brought alive the gospel within the tikanga and within the understanding of Māoridom and the that inculturation of the gospel and the seed of the gospel within Māori spirituality was something that he was basically the expert on and literally wrote the book about. So it's all interconnected.
I am Bye.